In a small coastal village called Coral Bay, life had always been simple and peaceful. The people there lived off the land, the sea, and the tourists who came from far and wide to enjoy the breathtaking coral reefs that surrounded the island. The vibrant color of the corals, teeming with fish and marine life, were the heart of the village. Tourists came to snorkel, dive, and swim in the crystal-clear waters, and the village thrived as a result. Hotels were full, restaurants were busy, and the local shops flourished. But one summer, something strange began to happen. The waters of Coral Bay grew warmer, and the corals, once alive with color, began to pale. The once bright pinks, purples, and blues turned ghostly white. The fish disappeared, and the water felt empty. It wasn't just the corals that were suffering. The whole village began to feel the effects. As fewer tourists visited the island, the hotels started to see fewer bookings. Some even had to lay off staff, unsure when business would pick up again. Local cafes and restaurants, which once buzzed with customers, had fewer and fewer people walking through their doors. Without the tourists, there wasn't much demand for food, and the grocery orders began to dwindle. The fishermen returned to shore without their usual haul of fish. Maya, a young waitress at the Coral Breeze Cafe, was feeling the weight of the changes more than most. She had worked there every summer since she was a teenager, serving tourists who raved about the coral reefs. But this summer was different. The cafe had fewer customers, and her tips had dried up. Her father, who was a fisherman, hadn't caught enough fish to sell, and the money coming into their home was barely enough to cover their bills. One afternoon, as Maya sat on the beach staring at the lifeless water, her grandmother, Nani, joined her. Nani had lived on the island her whole life and knew the ocean better than anyone. "Grandma, what happened to the reef?" Maya asked, her voice tinged with worry. "The corals are dying, the tourists aren't coming anymore, and everything feels wrong." Nani looked out at the water, her eyes soft but determined. "The reefs are the heart of this island, Maya. They protect us. When they're healthy, they keep the waves calm, the storms at bay, and the economy strong. When they're sick, everything suffers." Maya frowned. "But what can we do? The water's too warm. The fish are gone. How can we fix it?" Nani took Maya's hand and smiled. "It's not too late, my dear. We have to restore the reefs. We've lost a lot, but the corals are resilient. With the right care, we can bring them back, and with them, the life of the island." Maya thought about Nani's words all evening. The next morning, she woke up with a plan. She gathered her friends, Tom, a hotel manager, Isla, a restaurant owner, and Kian, a local fisherman, and they met at the beach. "We need to restore the reef," Maya said, her voice strong with purpose. "The island is suffering because of coral bleaching. We need to take action before it's too late." Tom, the hotel manager, nodded. "Without the tourists, our business is drying up. But if we bring back the corals, the tourists will come back. They come to see the reef, to dive and snorkel in the beauty of it." Isla, the restaurant owner, agreed. "And when tourists come, they eat in our cafes and restaurants. We need the fish to come back. I don't know how much longer I can keep my staff employed if this continues." Kian, the fisherman, sighed. "I've been fishing for years, but the fish are disappearing. If the reef is sick, the fish have no place to live. I can't catch what isn't there." Maya smiled. "And that's why we need to work together. The corals protect the shorelines from storms and floods. They're a buffer for our homes, our businesses, and our entire way of life. If we restore the reefs, we restore the island. And not just for us, but for the future." The group agreed to take action. They contacted marine scientists who specialized in coral restoration and learned how they could help bring the corals back to life. They began planting new corals, restoring the damaged parts of the reef. They organized beach cleanup to reduce pollution and educate the village on the importance of protecting the ocean. And they worked with local schools to teach children about the reef's role in protecting their homes and livelihoods. Months passed, and the village slowly began to see change. The coral restoration work was slow, but it was working. The waters became clearer, and the first signs of color began to return to the corals. Fish began to swim through the reefs again, and tourists, eager to see the thriving marine life, started to trickle back to Coral Bay. The hotels started receiving more bookings, the cafes and restaurants filled up again, and the local fishermen's boats returned to the docks with more catches. Maya's father was able to sell his fish, and her family was back on track. The reef was healing, and with it, the entire island was coming back to life. The economy revived, the jobs returned, and the people of Coral Bay learned an important lesson. Their lives were deeply connected to the health of the ocean. One evening, as the sun set over the now vibrant coral reefs, Maya stood with Nani on the beach, looking out at the water. "We did it, Grandma," Maya said softly. "The island is alive again." Nani smiled, her heart full. "The reef is the heartbeat of this island, Maya. When we protect it, we protect ourselves." And from that day on, the people of Coral Bay worked tirelessly to preserve the corals, knowing that their future was forever tied to the health of the sea.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you'll be the first to know when I upload new videos. Stay tuned for more exciting content.